I think one of the most exciting aspects of cooking for the holidays is to prepare foods that come from various parts of the world. And so I'm going to take a challenge to use these persimmons, which are typically thought of as a Japanese fruit. And then I am going to take the concept of an English Christmas pudding, in which the pudding and all of its parts are going to go into this bowl and set it down into a water bath and cover it, and we are going to bake this low and slow until we have something that resembles an English pudding. So I'm going to take the stem out of the inside of the persimmon, and you can see it's very juicy inside, and then take off this skin, it's a little bit thick. Then we're going to puree this into the blender and start to layer on our wonderful spicy flavors. Traditions, they're a funny thing. They make people remember various things from their childhood, from places they've lived, memories. Holidays are one of those times when everyone is searching for a tradition that reminds them of some special moment in their life. I can't think of anything that brings traditions alive more than food. My husband is British, and there are stories of some of the things he remembers eating when he was growing up during Christmas. One of those in particular is Christmas pudding, which I think we remember in the stories written by Dickens, A Christmas Carol. There was always a goose, and there was always Christmas pudding. And then he said he also loved eating fruitcake. Now, fruitcake, I can't think of anything I dislike more, except maybe meatloaf. But we all know that. So I'm thinking I'm going to try to put together a flavor that could satisfy some of his memories from his childhood and still taste good. So I decided I would like to experiment with a kind of a Christmas pudding that uses persimmon. I thought because it's juicy and quite a bit more tart than an apple, which is traditionally used in a Christmas pudding, I thought if we could layer on some flavors and add nuts and lots of spices and put this persimmon in here, maybe we could recreate the Christmas pudding. And so, see? The geese are overhead. They know it's Christmas. We will have a goose for Christmas. But for now, we're going to make this Christmas pudding. This recipe will come together very quickly and not a lot of effort. So bear with me as we walk through a whole bunch of ingredients real quick. We have about 1.5 cups of whole milk, to which we're going to add a whole lemon juice into it. We want to sour the milk just a little. You can always use buttermilk if you prefer, but most people don't have buttermilk sitting in the refrigerator. I know I don't. With a teaspoon of baking soda. Will help to thicken the milk quickly, which gives us a few minutes to move on with the rest. We're going to have 3 eggs to 1.5 cups of brown sugar. There we go. Let's give that a whisk. Incorporate the sugar and egg. Now to the sugar and the egg mixture, we're going to add 1/2 stick of melted butter. But before we do, we want to use just a little bit of that butter to prepare the pan that it's going to cook in, so that it won't stick and it'll take on the flavor of the butter. We are going to be using a type of a Christmas pudding bowl. And it's going to sit into a bath of water, and it will cook in the oven at 325 for about almost an hour. So we just take a little bit of our melted butter and give a wipe all around the inside of the bowl. We'll add the rest of the melted butter. 1/4 cup of thick whipping cream. We've got, about 1/2 cup of almonds, crushed almonds, or almond meal. You can buy it already crushed. So we're going to add, it's about 1.5 cups of the persimmon puree to our batter. Now, we're going to add 1.5 cups of flour, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, teaspoon of baking powder. Remember, we have a teaspoon of baking soda. in our milk, which now you can see has begun to bubble and rise. Let's just add a little bit of the foam off of the top. Half teaspoon of mace, teaspoon of nutmeg, and a good heaping teaspoon of cinnamon. Give a gentle turn, and we'll add the rest of the milk. Our batter is nice and smooth and ready to pour into the bowl. We'll fill it up just halfway because it will rise and we don't want it to spill over. Before we set it down into the bowl, we're just going to add a little water. We are going to create a very loose tent on top of the dish. So while it would have some density of a cake, it's going to be more of a creamy texture. So we don't want it to bake and dry out. We want it to simmer in a nice warm bath. So we'll tent it and we'll bake it this way. I have plenty of batter left over because I only used a small bowl. It would certainly fit this one beautifully, but I have other small bowls of which I'm going to prepare and make several more. Our oven is set to 325 and it's preheated, so it's 325. So I'm going to stick it in there now. We'll see you back here in an hour.
So, I hear you've made me a Christmas pudding. The flavours bring back many memories. Did you put a silver coin in there somewhere for me?